Hey guys, I'm Batman, and in this video, I want to show you how I made a purple coat, like a purple tux coat for the Joker. See here, purple on the outside, orange lining on the inside, and so I'm just gonna show you how I made it. So for this project, I'm gonna be using the red right here, because as you see, blue has like a shawl lapel, which I do not want. I just want a regular lapel right there. So yeah, this is the pattern I'm gonna be using. Now I'm gonna make me a purple suit for the Joker. So to start off by cutting, you gotta look at the pattern paper, and I need to cut out all the pieces I need from the pattern paper for this specific project. So I'm gonna cut out all those pieces, and sometimes the paper says that you can just like lay down the fabric any way you want and get it all cut out. I'm just gonna do it any way I want. So I'm gonna take my fabric, which purple fleece is what I chose. I'm gonna lay down all the cut out pattern paper pieces onto the fabric, and to help me get a better cut and hopefully that they come out like nice and neat, I'm just gonna pin it myself. You can just trace it or just lay down some heavy objects on top of it. I find to get the best cut for me, I would just pin it down. And once I get them all pinned down, I'm just gonna cut them all out. And then once I get them all cut out, I can start the sewing process. But before, I also gotta cut out lining pieces too, because blazers usually have like lining or whatever, and I'm gonna use orange satin to like match Heath Ledger's Joker. And for the pieces, I just need like the upper body and the sleeves. I don't need like the collar pieces or anything for these. So yeah, I'm just gonna cut those out of the orange lining. And for the jacket outside, I take my front pieces here, cut out some notches, which will help it like fit or form better. I'm gonna put those together, matching the pattern. And then for the back, I got two pieces for the back here. I'm gonna sew those together. Also, if you forgot to add notches, I would just use the pattern paper to just like mark them with some chalk. Then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna sew the back, just like pin the back pieces together. I find pinning helps sew things better. And with the two halves, I'm just gonna sew them together following the notches I drew. And so I got my back piece. Then I can just sew the front and back pieces together. And now I just basically have like a purple vest kind of thing. For the collar, so basically you gotta take these shapes here, two different shapes. You need two at the top and four at the bottom. And we're just gonna sew those together. And then we have two pieces now. And then we gotta put the wrong sides together, sew them around. And then we gotta cut out some seam allowance so that you can flip it inside out better. And then then like I said, you gotta put the right sides together. You're gonna sew on the outside, but not the bottom, to leave an opening. And we just wanna trim away that extra seam allowance so it doesn't like bulk out after you flip it inside out. And trimming the corners with points also helps if you're gonna like flip corners inside out. So just like you can trim those corners, trim that seam allowance, and then you can just flip it inside out. And what I'm gonna do to like help it look nicer is iron it down so it's nice and flat and the seam remains mostly at the top. I find ironing down things like this really helps give it a better look. Overall, better feel, better vibe. So now I got my collar. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna pin it around the neck, make sure it lines up perfectly before I sew it down. And then I have to restart, which actually did happen, so definitely just pin it down to make sure. And now I have me the lapel. For the pockets, this pattern didn't come with pockets, so I'm just gonna have to add those myself. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna like draw a line that I want for the length of it, and I'm just gonna cut it open, of course. Then once you cut it open, you're gonna cut out some pieces, just a little longer, for like a little like opening. This will make it look nicer. You got like these little tiny thin rectangles. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna line them up at the bottom, because then once I line them at the bottom, I'm gonna like flip the jacket over, sew them down there, and then I'm gonna wait for the pockets. After I sew these down, I'm just gonna try to line them up as best I can. I'm gonna do the same with the pockets. So some big rectangles with seam allowance, and then hopefully when I sew them down, they're the right size. Then I'm just gonna line them up into the pocket hole. Just try to get the opening as best you can. Line up the pockets. Like with the ends, really. That's what I try to do so it looks nicest. And then with the little like bottom opening or like little bottom piece, you just like flip that over after you sew in the pockets. Then boom, got some pockets on the sides and in the upper chest. Then we're gonna move on to the sleeves. And blazers also have this like pattern of two-piece sleeves so that you can like have an angle arm. Basically, you just cut those out and you just sew them together. And the only thing you have to do is just gather them at the top above the notches so that they can be a little scrunched and will have a better look. And you just sew those into the armholes, match them up as best you can. So now I have me some sleeves and I have the outside done. Now for the lining, you're basically gonna do the same thing for all of this. Like you can even look right here. Same thing for like the lining too. Just notches, sleeves, gathers, don't have to worry about pockets and a collar. But still, like it's just the same thing really. So after you do that though, you get like a inside, like same piece. I also attached this like grenade patch to it to match Heath Ledger's Joker because he's my favorite. So I just added that for a detail. And basically what you're gonna do is you're gonna take the lining and the outside of the jacket, put the right sides together, flip it inside out, put the sleeves in the sleeves, and then you're just gonna go all the way around. Once you go all the way around, leave an opening and flip it inside out. And once you flip it inside out, if you want to close it, you have to like fold it down because we're going to do something called slip stitching, which is where you like put your threads to like the tippy top of the fold and you can just like sew them down and it'll definitely be like a nice little closure with hand sewing where you won't even be able to actually see the thread. So you see I have like my thread there at the topmost fold. Now I'm just going to try to get it into the topmost fold of the purple. And you just do that many times to just like get it closed. Like you see I pull it down there, it gets closed. You can barely even see it. And that's what you call slip stitching. Just gonna try to do it as best I can just to get it all closed. And then for the sleeves, you had to like sew down a little hem there. You're gonna do the same thing as slip stitching, except you're gonna try to just take the fold of the orange and just try to get it on the hemmed part of the sleeve so you don't have to go all the way through. And I would definitely just fold down the orange before you do that, just so it looks nicer. And once you sew it down, after pinning down the folds like you see here onto the fold of the fabric, the sleeves are done, and then the whole jacket is done. And so now, here it is, ladies and gentlemen. This is my purple blazer for the Joker. It's like cropped, which is how I like it. And this is just so much fun to have. Like I enjoyed this project so much. This is actually like the first time I've worn like a real blazer kind of almost. So it's fun that the first blazer I ever wear is for the Joker. I'll definitely love saying that for the rest of my life. And I just love having this jacket. It's fun to dance around. It's so fun. Okay guys, that was my purple coat that I made for a Joker cosplay. What did you think? Was it good? Was it not good? And also, what's your favorite Joker? Let me know in the comments. And if you say Jared Leto, I might have to pay a little visit to your house, and it'll be a blast. Okay, I wouldn't do that, but you know what I mean though. Opinions are opinions. Even if you say Jared Leto, it's a Snyder cut, then maybe I agree. But yeah, just let me know what you thought in the comments, and have a good day. And remember, put on a smile.